I'm on a trip to Ireland and I've landed in Dublin. This is a Glen-L Plans DIY trawler. You build it on your own. In Ireland, they call it a garden-built boat. In the United States, we say backyard boat building. Hi, I'm Joe, and welcome to MotorCity Boat Works. Let's get to work. Today, I got something really special. I'm on a trip to Ireland and I've landed in Dublin and I've made contact with Damien McGlone, and he is going to show us his home-built 37-foot Yukon trawler. This is a Glen-L Plans DIY trawler. You build it on your own. And Damien has been working on this for about 5 years in his yard. In Ireland, they call it a garden-built boat. In the United States, we say backyard boat building. This is Damien.
Well, it was back.
Yeah, it was started in your backyard, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah, so this is your second boat that you've built, yeah?
Yeah. The last one was in Africa.
Yeah. And that one had an unfortunate demise, so you took some parts off of it and then decided you were going to build this thing.
Yeah.
And you transitioned from sailing to a powerboat because getting older is something a little bit easier. I understand the exact same thing. I'm the same way.
Yeah.
I love sailboats, but as you get older, it just becomes too difficult.
Well, there's plenty of guys down the club I can sail with.
Yeah. I'll tell you, when we came around the corner, I've seen pictures of the boat before, and Damien and I talked before, but when I came around the corner in this neighborhood, I cannot tell you the size of this boat and how monstrous it is as a DIY undertaking. You know, my boat inside my shop is 27 feet long, right?
Yeah.
13 feet tall or whatever.
Yeah.
But this thing is at 37 feet. I mean, it is. Do you have any idea how tall it is? How high it is off the ground?
Without the mast,
It's got to be 20 feet.
It's about 15.
15. Yeah.
It's higher than a double-decker
Yes.
bus.
And it's got two steering stations. We'll show you the inside and we'll talk some more about it. And Damien's going to answer some questions about his experiences of building this boat. And I think it'll be a real motivation for anybody who's undertaking a project like this. I know it, for me, it makes me think, I got to get back and get to work on my boat. It's just an unbelievable undertaking. And I think it's coming along very well. I think I'll be excited to hear this year when this gets put in the water. He's going in this year, right?
But,
yeah.
Well, okay, it's getting a little bit chilly now, so perhaps.
All right, we'll wrap it up.
I have to bring you down to the yacht club and give you a pint of
Right, we need, that's what we need right now. Hello?
Hello?
Who's this?
Hello?
Hello? Who's this?
Hello?
Who's this?
Hey! Hey, where are you?
Where are you?
I'm in the Boat Works. Where are you?
Where am I? I'm in Ireland.
Ireland? What are you doing in Ireland?
Yeah, I'm trying to get some boat motivation.
Oh, come on, man. What are you doing in Ireland?
Yeah, you know, a little motivation about the boat, working on it, this and that. I'll be back soon.
Listen, you gotta get back here. I'm the only one working here.
Don't worry about where I am.
Come on, man. You gotta help me a little bit.
Yeah, you're doing a good job. Keep up the good work.
Come on, man. This boat's never gonna get done.
Yeah, listen, I appreciate it. Just keep working. Everything's under control. Yeah, okay. Thank you for your service. Let's do a microphone test. Testing 1, 2, 3.
3, 4, 5.
Excellent. So I'm here at the Hartley Yacht Club outside of Dublin, and we're going to do an interview with Damien and talk about his experiences building his Yukon 37. Yeah, Yukon 37. And this is from somebody who's already built not one boat, but two. And so I always find it fascinating to find out people's stories of how they got into amateur boat building or into boat restoration. And I think it's motivation for somebody else who's maybe just starting out, or you're in the middle of the project like me, and you think to yourself, wow, am I really going to be able to complete this? Is anybody else doing this, or am I just one guy who's working on a boat? So without anything further, I'm going to ask Damien a series of questions, and we'll kind of get his thoughts on amateur boat building and boat restoration. So I guess the first question, Damien, is what can you tell us about your boat design, the boat that you're currently working on? What is it, and what can you tell us about it?
Well, it's a Glen-L Yukon
Okay.
Trawler yacht. It was supposed to be 35 foot 6 inches, but for some reason or other it turned out at 37 foot.
Yeah.
But okay, there's a swim platform on the
Yeah.
back, so they call it that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's based on the Grand Banks type trawler yachts. Very, very similar to the 36 Grand Banks. And it's got a 90 horsepower Perkins diesel and a Vetus generating set, to give me electricity. We've got hot and cold water. We've all the mod cons that you
Right.
get in a shop-built boat, and I'm proud to say it's equally as strong as anyone's I've seen around here.
Yeah. The Glen-L is the plans that you buy, right? We have it in the States, right? And so when you bought the plans, the plans themselves are several $100 investment, right? To get started, yeah.
$450 to start with, and they came with full size drawings for the ribs, for the frames they call them, for the hull. And there were 3 versions of this boat. There was the one I built, which is the trawler yacht. There was actually one which was the same. Well, you build the same hull, and at that stage you can make 3 different models, either a trawler yacht or a trawler like the little ones we've got down here in the harbour for fishing, or they had another one for carrying passengers across the harbour or something like that.
Okay.
But I just chose the yacht version.
And the construction is exclusively fiberglass on marine plywood.
That's correct.
Right?
Double plank marine ply.
Right.
And fiberglass on top.
Right. The ribs and the stringers, the frames, all that are those laminated, or are they?
No, they're all solid timbers. That's all Douglas fir. And the lengthwise timbers, they're all 4x2s.
Right.
They're 2 4x1s laminated up to become 4x2s.
Right.
And they were of southern yellow pine.
Okay.
Now, timbers, to use building such a thing, it depends on where you live and the local supply of timber.
Right.
Obviously, in the States, you'd have other timbers available.
Right.
Probably, but similar.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, I noticed you had your ceiling beams in your inside the cabin, right? Those are all laminated, and you said there were like 18 of them.
Yeah.
You had to laminate, right?
Yeah.
And you basically did one per day until you had them all ready to go. Yeah.
Yeah. I'd cut the lumber, send it through the planer thicknesser, and I'd clamped little brackets on the wall. I plotted the curve on the wall in my workshop, and bolted these.
So kind of like a jig. Yeah. Put these things on.
So I'd cut them out in the morning and then glue them all up in the afternoon, and overnight let them cure.
Right.
And store one, and then
start another one.
I continued that until I had them all done.
And
I got solid cedar for that.
Right. Yeah. And you said you did almost all of the work was pretty much you. You had a helper for portions of it, but
help.
Most of the work is
when I was doing the fiberglassing, a friend of mine called Gordon came to help me occasionally, and he was a great help because there were a lot of things, sometimes lifting and mixing and things like that. You really need 2 people. But and then he helped me again doing the superstructure, and of course the interior finishing is really a one-man job, and it takes a lot of time, more time than you imagine.
Yeah. And you showed me your little shop. I didn't get any footage of it, but basically it's a little tiny garage, right?
Yeah.
Garage that you have a little bit of woodworking, a little bit of metalworking,
a
little bit of welding,
yeah,
because all of the components essentially on the boat, from the actual boat building to the stainless work to the steel rudder to the carpentry and everything like that. You've done all of that, every bit of it, right? Including the mechanicals for the propulsion and stuff like that. Yeah. So it's really a diverse skill set that you've got doing this, right? And this kind of brings me to my next question. Let me ask you this question: when did you start working on this boat? And of course, when will it be done?
I bought the plans in 2014, and I probably would have...
That's when I got my boat.
I probably would have started actual cutting timber a few months later, maybe in 2015. I had my little aeroplane, which I sold, and I bought...
Because you're a pilot.
I was a professional pilot. And I had a plan of retiring and flying little airplanes with tourists out in East Africa, but now that's another story.
Right.
But I'd sold my aeroplane and bought the timber and started cutting. And the hull was done, I would say. The hull was built, well, first of all, cutting out all the frames and stuff and all the beams and getting everything ready, then building the hull. That took me about 3 years. And then we lifted it over the roof.
You brought the boat hull over the top of your house to move it from the backyard to get it to the front yard.
Yeah.
Right?
Because
and then turned it.
Well, it would have been too heavy to finish the job in the backyard.
Right.
But the other thing was to turn it over in the backyard. That was another story. So I thought while we had the crane, we'd lift it over the house, turn it over, and drop the engine in.
Right.
While the crane was there.
That's amazing.
Are you enjoying the show? Well, do me a favor. Would you hit the like button and also subscribe? Spread the word about MotorCity Boat Works. No BS, just boats and restoration.
So this brings up a really interesting question. How did you flip that massive hull? Because you built it upside down in the backyard, right? And I've seen your backyard.
Yeah.
It's not a tiny backyard, but there's not a lot of room back there.
Yeah,
and you brought that over. You brought the hull over the top of the house.
Yeah.
And then how did you flip it in the front yard?
Well, we set it down the ground, then took the strops off it, and wrapped the strops to come up on one side. So we lifted it up on its end, or side.
Okay.
So
hanging it from the side.
Hanging it from the side, and then resting it, and then getting it through the center of gravity. With the crane just boomed over,
brought it over,
and then eased it down.
And set it. You had the trailer there. That's what it's on right now.
We got it on the ground.
Yeah.
And then trailer was down here.
Right.
And then we went and got the trailer and brought it back there. And then we lifted it, and we had to level it and get it on the trailer and chuck it all up.
Right.
And then we lifted the engine and the generator and the fuel tanks and water tanks in. These items that were going to be difficult for me to haul up on my own.
Why did you decide to move the boat from the back of the yard to the front of the yard? More room?
Well, we wouldn't have been able to lift it. The crane wouldn't have been able to reach the full weight. It wouldn't have been able to take the full weight.
Oh, the full weight of the boat once it's finished.
And also,
to get it out.
Turning it over.
Yeah. Because you said you're guessing that the weight of the boat is somewhere around, 17,000 pounds?
That was the design weight. Okay. We'll see when we lift it.
Yeah, what it's actually going to be.
Yeah.
When you brought the hull over, you said that was what? Did you say 4 tons?
It was 3.1.
Yeah. And
the engine was 3/4 of a ton. The generator, 1/4 of a ton. The fuel tanks. So, when we had those in, we would have been up to about 4.5 tons. Before we start building the superstructure and everything else that went into it.
Right.
So estimated about 8.5 tons.
Yeah.
Or 17,000 pounds in your money.
Sure.
And
the engine is a Perkins?
Perkins M90.
M90. 90 horsepower.
90 horsepower.
It looks like it's in very good shape. It is.
You
said it was second-hand engine that
but it was
had very little light duty.
it had light duty and
Hadn't been in salt water.
never
Yeah.
in salt water.
Yeah. So you're already ahead of the game. It looks
Yeah,
almost brand new.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
there's not that many hours on it.
Yeah. Let me ask you this question here.
Yeah.
What's the most difficult part of building the boat so far?
Difficult part. Let me think.
Maybe the most vexing.
Finishing it off. It's taking so long, basically.
Yeah.
You know, doing major construction, you more or less see the results of your day's work.
Yeah.
And we get down to the nitty bits of putting little bits of trim here and doing this, or wiring, and wiring takes forever, and you don't see any.
You don't see any progress.
Yeah.
We were talking before. It's challenging working outdoors. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
especially
not having a shop, or
especially in this climate.
Yeah.
You know,
because you have a lot of moisture in the air. It rains a lot, so you're constantly finding the moisture and humidity issue, and dealing with that sort of stuff.
So mostly, well, you can say all of December and all of January, I done
Can't work on it, right?
All I done is the little drawers for the chests of drawers. I just made, that's all I made, the drawers and the cushions, of course. I done the upholstery during.
Do you get snow here?
Sometimes.
Not.
Yeah.
Yeah. When you get snow on your boat, do you go out and dust it off? I used to go out and do that.
We haven't had snow on her yet.
No, not yet. Yeah. Very good. What are your plans for the boat once you're done?
Cruising.
What will you do with it? Yeah.
Cruising.
Where will you cruise?
I'm going to head north up to Scotland.
Uh-huh.
Look at the Scottish Isles, the Hebrides, Fingal's Cave, and that type of thing.
So mostly offshore.
Offshore, yeah. And then I'll bring it back here for the winter. Keep it in the marina here for the winter.
Right.
And then the following year we might head southwards to warmer weather.
Right.
And where she'll stay permanently, God knows.
Yeah. You're an extensive cruiser. You had the sailboat, the previous boat.
We sailed substantial. I sailed the Pacific, the Indian Ocean, and around here, British and Irish waters. That was mostly in sailboats.
Yeah.
But this is my first motorboat.
Right.
Well,
right.
no, I had an outboard boat before, years ago. It's not the first, but God, how many boats have I built? I've built many little boats.
Yeah. So one of the questions I like to ask people is whether or not they have any other hobbies, craft hobbies, manufacturing hobbies, or artistic hobbies. Do you do any other things like that?
Well, I built the extension of my house. I showed you. I done the patio.
Yeah.
People around here need a little bit made for the boat. I'll do that.
Yeah.
Metalwork, welding, or this wasn't my profession, by the way.
Right.
I was an airline captain.
Right.
But
right. Do you have a mechanical background? Is your formal degree in engineering?
I worked many years ago when I was a teenager. I served an apprenticeship for 2 years as a watch and clock repairer.
Really?
So I got to use little miniature lathes and miniature everything. And then, of course, I went off flying. And, when I was on reserve standby, instead of sitting in the office, I'd go into the hangar to see what the guys were doing. And, and I often worked on airplanes. It wasn't my job, but I'd rather than sitting around, I'd go and give the guys in the hangar a hand,
Yeah.
So I learned a lot from that, a lot of engineering.
Yeah, that brings me to my next question. Yeah. Where did you learn to work on boats or to build boats?
Well, let me tell you one thing. My grandfather was a paid deckhand on Sir Thomas Lipton's Shamrock.
Really?
Which used to take part in the New York Yacht Club.
Yeah.
Admirals, what's it called?
America's Cup.
America's Cup.
Yeah.
Sorry, you can edit that.
Yeah.
And
he's a paid deckhand.
He was a paid deckhand. So well, while you're at the house, I could have showed you photos. Actually, I might be able to show you.
Wow.
When we're having a beer.
Yeah.
But my father used to always say, "Oh, your grandfather was a sailor," and take me down to the sea. And when I was 14, I built a little kayak, to paddle. I built that, and then when I was 16, I built a 15-foot runabout.
Yeah.
And I put a little cabin on it. I had 2 4-horsepower outboards.
Yeah.
One belonging to me and one belonging to a friend. So we put the two of them
Two
on the
4
back.
horsepower.
we used to sail right out to those islands out there.
Yeah.
You know, and that was that. Then I built a 21-foot motorboat.
Yeah.
And then I started flying. And I got a job out in East Africa. So I never finished that. I just forgot about it. And then I built a 38-foot sailboat in East Africa.
Yeah.
We sailed extensively in the Indian Ocean, to Zanzibar, Mombasa, and all these places.
Yeah.
We brought it up here. I never liked it up here.
Yeah.
We had a fire up at the Isle of Man. I brought it back here, repaired it, and then on the hard here, it suffered another fire, and that was the end of it.
But the fire, I just want to point out, the fire was not because of your boat. The fire was the neighbor next door. Their boat caught on fire. Your boat was a casualty of the fire of the neighbor next door. So it's bad luck. And from that, you said a lot of the components from that boat you then salvaged or brought over to this boat.
If you like this channel and you've learned something new, do me a favor, hit the like button and click subscribe. That way you'll be sure to get all of my future videos and even some of my special ones when I stream live. Thanks again.
Some of which I've used,
others
which I've sold,
and
put the money into the new boat.
Yeah.
You know.
Will there be another boat after this boat, or is this the last boat, you think?
I'm 72 now.
Yeah.
I think
This will be the one.
This will be the one.
Yeah.
I won't be, I'm going to be building a little dinghy.
Yeah. That's
Has a
yeah.
tender for this one, But that'll be it.
Very good. Very good.
And I've been called out for retirement to do some consultancy work. So
Right.
I'll be doing that for the next year or two.
So all this time that you've worked on boats, and all of these years now that you've been working on the Yukon, you call it Blue Marlin, right? All the years you're working on Blue Marlin. How do you stay motivated to keep making progress daily or weekly or monthly and pushing the project forward?
I call it my job.
Yeah.
So I go to work every morning.
But you're retired, but this you call your job.
Yeah. Well, I get up. I don't have to be in at 9 o'clock.
Yeah.
I'll have a breakfast and listen to the radio, what's on the news, and I wander out around 10 o'clock, 30, and I work until about 2:30, 3 o'clock.
Yeah.
Then I come down here for a pint.
Yeah. Brilliant. Yeah. But that's the end of your day. You don't go back after that to continue working on it, no?
No.
Yeah.
I would have done in the early stages.
Yeah.
But this finicky little work is tedious. So especially the wiring gets in and you get boring.
You and I talked several weeks ago, and I had asked you how you kept pushing the thing forward. You said you tried to do 4 hours a day, just at least to get that done.
Yeah.
I don't know if you saw on one of my recent videos, I was having a problem going out to the shop to work on the boat. I was too many distractions, making videos and doing all sorts of things. And I said, I really got to start. I need someone looking over my shoulder to make sure that I'm doing at least 4 to 6 hours a day. I can't do 8 anymore. I find it, my work suffers and I just can't keep up with it. But my goal is the same, 4 to 6 hours a day. So I bought a punch clock like you have in a factory with a card to punch it. And I've been able to, it tallies my hours. It does it automatically.
I have no idea.
So now I can keep track and I know when I'm slacking off and I'm not getting enough hours in. But it's the equivalent of having the boss stand over your shoulder and make sure that you're actually working and not screwing around, because I have the same thing. I have the refrigerator in the shed out there, in the shop out there, and sometimes I like to pop the beers too, and I'm thinking, am I ending the day too early, or and I do the same thing.
Well,
I don't have to be anywhere, so some days I start a little late, some days,
I've got the fridge up in the boat.
Yeah.
It's normally stocked.
Yeah.
And my helper tends to come around late.
Yeah.
And that stops the work. So I just finish it now on my own.
Okay, so here's the most important question. This is what people are probably wondering. So what does your spouse or your partner, what does she think about this endeavor, this project?
God knows. She's put up with it anyway.
Yeah.
She hasn't even been up the steps to have a look.
Yeah. But she knew the other boat that you had before, right? And you used it extensively. So, and I was talking to her. She said that she would be sailing on this boat, that you would take it out. Oh, that's good. Well, very good. That's a good good answer then. So, has your spouse ever said, "What are you doing? Just end this thing and be done with it," or told you, "Look, stop building it, just go buy one"? Or have you ever had any type of conversation like that?
The first sailboat I built in East Africa, and I used to go off flying. By the way, we were living in a hotel.
Yeah. So you didn't have a shop, yeah.
I built the boat while living in a hotel.
And you said that boat was teak planking. It was, teak planking, epoxy, cold molded. Yeah.
But to answer your question, I had my days off, and we were in the north of Tanzania.
Yeah.
The hotel was open cottages.
Yeah.
And because we stayed in that hotel for 5 years, so the owner of the hotel gave us a staff bungalow instead of a room.
Yeah.
So we had a bungalow with a backyard.
Nice.
So I built the other boat there, and we dragged it 400 miles to the coast in Dar es Salaam, and we sailed it extensively around the Indian Ocean, and then brought it up here. And
this sounds like something that I would do. That I'd be living in a hotel and try and build a boat in the backyard of the parking lot.
See, I used to get 2 days totally free every week.
Yeah.
But the job was, I had 5 days duty, but I normally go on duty late at night, day one, so that's a day's work.
Yeah.
3 days on the job.
Yeah.
First thing in the morning, come back up. So really, I had the guts of 4 days off.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, and there was nothing to do. The first child was only a baby at the time. So
what do you think it is about building the boat with your own hands versus, just buying one to use? And what is it about the process of making it?
I suppose why you have the money, you can buy this amount and progressively continue. For instance, this current boat, it's cost me approximately 25% of a similar boat.
Yeah.
A similar boat that's about 40 years old.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it saves a lot of money, and as I said, I've been retired. I wasn't always retired, but the reason I'm doing it now is I had nothing else to do. But before, I was just using my days off. So.
And you got satisfaction from building it.
I'm not mechanically minded.
I've enjoyed the process of imagining something, and imagining a boat more than it was, because my boats are not wooden boats from nothing. They tend to be fiberglass boats that have kind of modified and restored and done things to. And I enjoy the process of imagining what something could be and then making it, and there's immense satisfaction at the end of actually accomplishing, this thing is done, and then getting to use it, getting to go sail with it, getting to go cruise with it, and it's a real sense of accomplishment. I imagine similar to building an addition on your house, or building an outbuilding, or building something like that. Building the shop was very similar, although I didn't build the shop. I supervised people doing it, but it's very similar.
Okay, there was an interruption in this build.
Yes.
You're seeing the extension I built.
Yes. Yeah, your extension on the back side of the house. It's kind of a sunroom.
She who must be obeyed.
Yeah.
Before you do any more on that boat, I want
go do this thing. Get this done. Yeah.
So there.
Yeah. That's how you kept her. That's how you kept her motivated to see the rest of the project done. Was give her project some priority.
Yeah.
Right.
So there was a break there.
Yeah. Can you tell me about a time, or maybe this never happened to you, but have you had a time where you thought about quitting on this project? And
not really. No.
Yeah.
I'm a little bit disheartened. I tell you, when the weather turned bad there, beginning of December, got cold and I couldn't do anything, and I was a little bit disheartened,
Right.
But I found other things to do
Yeah.
around the house,
Does it happen every year when the weather gets bad and your enthusiasm picks up in the spring again?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
But this particular year, the weather was it got so cold I couldn't do anything.
Yeah.
But I managed. I got the upholstery done. And
Right.
There was a few bits and pieces I made in the shop.
I find myself same thing, kind of doing off-season projects, polishing all the stainless steel and metal, kind of preparing all this stuff. Or, I built my ultralight dinghy during the winter one year to test out all these different paints and non-skids and the assembly process using the composite materials and stuff. And it kind of kept me busy throughout the winter time until I was ready to start again. So I guess last question then is, do you have any advice for someone who is thinking about undertaking a project like this or is in the midst of a project like this? What advice would you have for them?
Well, just take your time. Don't be too ambitious. And just don't overstretch yourself. Just do as much as you can do at the time and keep at it. It pays off in the end. This thing is floating down there. In a few months' time, it'll be all worthwhile.
We'll have to come back so we can we can see that.
And I had great fun out of my other boat for 30 years.
The potential's there.
The potential is there.
Fantastic. Damien, I want to thank you for your time and your patience answering these questions. And it's been a real pleasure seeing your boat and hearing your story. It's just it's a huge undertaking. I tell you, I thought my boat was a large project, but to see this project self-built from nothing, from a very beginning, from plans, is really an extraordinary accomplishment for one person. And I have no doubt that boat will get completed and end up in the water. And I hope it's this year.
Oh, it will be.
That will be fantastic. And you'll have to let us know that. And we'll talk. Maybe we'll talk again then when you get ready to splash it. I think that would be excellent. All right. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Fantastic.
Thank you.
Wow. I don't know about you, but this has to be one of my favorite episodes from MotorCity Boat Works. I hope you got as much out of it as I did making it. If you enjoyed this episode, do me a favor, leave a comment below and let Damien McGlone know how much his boat project means to your motivation. If you have a project that you think would be interesting and you want the Boat Detective to kind of check it out, let me know, drop me a line. You can leave a comment below. You can communicate with me through the MotorCity Boat Works website, or you can find my email on the homepage of my YouTube channel. Thanks again. Have a great week. Stay safe. We'll see you next time.